And welcome to the Raw Review. We are the Dadley Boyz of What Culture. I'm Adam Wilborn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of Amanda Now Raw. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review Amanda Now Raw, but also Friday Night SmackDown, show formerly known as NXT 2.0. AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week complete. A really good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review last night's Raw and all the fallout from the Royal Rumble.
Yes. He loves fallout.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a free week for you, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of the copy. Good Raw, I thought. I was obviously pleased with the major directions coming out of the Rumble in terms of the Rumble winners. I wasn't left inspired by much else from the show. And I'm in a much better mood with the road to WrestleMania again after just 24 hours. And what is devastating news,
yes,
but was worked around so well on this show that I don't feel maybe as heartbroken as I would have done if there was just nothing else going on at this WrestleMania. If there was if you were really, all days, when we were talking on another podcast recently about Triple H and Undertaker, everyone in the locker room's kind of an asshole day of entertainment. What if one of them goes down hurt just before WrestleMania? The card's got out. It's not that anymore. Sad news, but I thought this Raw, in one segment in particular, took me off in a completely different direction that I couldn't have seen coming. Liked it a lot.
Yeah, some maybe enforced pivots on this show. Some good, very good, not great wrestling, but enough to keep me engaged. Some fabulous promo work, whether it was, good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some good, but I don't know, bittersweet, I guess. Promo work, some strong directions. This was one of the better Raws in recent weeks because I think they've had a dismal start to the year on Monday nights. Pretty dismal. I think.
Disagree. Let's get into the Raw Review then.
I'm not having this much longer. I'm not being the third wheel, odd man out with your SmackDown crack and your little in jokes. I'm going to be done if I don't get my respect, just so you know.
Where's my respect? Quite right. I was a bit annoyed to start the show, not only with the CM Punk news, of course, but the Pat McAfee replacing Wade Barrett on commentary. I thought that was harsh.
Yeah.
Bad call.
So who does it on Fridays?
TBC, I guess. So unless Corey Graves,
who was doing it last week, which I missed.
It's the Cole and Graves, but that was very much it. It's Rumble weekend.
So it was Cole and Graves. Who was regularly the SmackDown commentating crew?
Kevin Patrick, Corey Graves, with Michael Cole as the babysitter.
Yes.
Right. So Cole's been doing double duty the whole time. Yeah. Pat McAfee's terrible at his job, and I know that's half the point, but
I don't think you can be. It was one thing. This is always the case in pre-Triple H WWE where there was something where it was a bit of a real light, a Desert Rose, whatever. And Pat McAfee's sheer bloody-minded enthusiasm for the nonsense he was calling was just something. His enthusiasm to a lot of people was infectious. It was I actually earnestly likes this. Michael Cole sounded dead inside for 20 years, whereas Pat McAfee just likes this. And that isn't half helping the characters because they can engage with the sound of his voice that's quite close to them, and that was enough. The Rumble and then this Raw less so, but I guess it's time for him to bed back in. The Rumble was annoying because there's characters that have had things going on. There's reasons why characters are doing the things they're doing. And it's a little bit disrespectful. It was the same when it was Jerry Lawler, and some of the stories made sense when he was calling the shows. It's just disrespectful to turn up with clearly zero prep and just spout your catchphrasey nonsense without any care for the stories being told. It's not the job of the announcer, and in the Vince run, he was just barking orders into Michael Cole's ear and then letting them do what they wanted. The commentators should be able to, add the flavour they're supposed to these stories that are being told. That's McAfee's job. Then some people like the noises. He obviously has this appeal, his wacky pronunciations and the and his, the jock energy you've pointed out, but
I just don't like the vibe of the guy.
Contribute to the stories being told. Otherwise, you're not serving your purpose.
Do not like the vibe of the guy at all. And he's a pretty useless commentator. So
Wade Barrett was doing
Tuesday mornings are even worse for me.
So after all that, CM Punk comes out, of course, his right arm's in a sling, he's torn his tricep, the crowd giving him a huge reaction. He says he came really close to winning on Saturday, Wasn't mad at anyone, wasn't mad at Cody Rhodes. In fact, he wanted to congratulate Cody. It's not about what you deserve, it's about what you've earned, and Rhodes has earned it. He wanted to see him finish his story at WrestleMania, and he said winning the Rumble in back-to-back years was a great accomplishment. He didn't believe in luck, but he did feel a little bit unlucky because he tore his right tricep in the Rumble. He discussed wanting to tape it up and head to Elimination Chamber and kind of find a way to Philadelphia, but it wasn't to be. He said Mania isn't in the cards for him. He didn't want anyone to feel sorry for him. He said his dream since he was a kid was to main event WrestleMania. Maybe that just wasn't going to happen. But he talked about kind of that being a problem, but real problems being what his friend Chad Gilbert has gone through. Had cancer. He's got a wife, daughter. He's never in a bad mood whenever Punk goes to see him. That's real life. That's real problems. He says, this injury is just a flesh wound. I'm not the best in the world because I always win. I kind of lose more than I win. Check out my UFC record. But I fought in the UFC because it was my dream and it scared the crap out of me. And the crowd chant for him. It scared him to leave WWE, but he had to. Mania scares him. It may haunt him for the rest of his life, but this is just a bump in the road. Best in the world is for the people who do things like fight cancer or firefighters or people who help other people. He just happened to entertain us, and yet we love him for some reason. He's going to keep doing this until the wheels fall off. It's a bump in the road. He's faced adversity and he's overcome it countless times. He's not going to focus on the negative, on those who tell him he can't. None of it matters because we all wake up and keep going. Mania's not in the cards, but he's a Cubs fan, and it won't be the first or last time that he says this. There is always next year. He's going to continue, but he's interrupted by Drew McIntyre, who comes down to the ring to the surprise of Punk, saying, I said some terrible things about you since your return to WWE, and I meant them. You're a poison, but I can relate to everything you're saying. Your dreams have been taken away from you. I've been through that. I can relate to having a friend like Chad as well. I don't know what I believe in. I've gone through some changes recently. I've never been spiritual, but I know this. I prayed for this, and it happened.
Oh, my God. That's like there's never been a... I'm sorry. Sorry, it didn't happen sooner. That's never been good. And Drew just made that good. Unbelievable.
He attacked him in the Rumble because he couldn't let him win, and he couldn't sleep knowing that Punk eliminated him. But last night he slept like a baby last night, yes, after hearing of Punk's injury. I exercised the demon that is CM Punk. I'm going to find a way to Mania and live your dream again, he said. And Punk squares up to him and says, my heart hurts more than my tricep does. I am going to come back. I am going to main event WrestleMania, but I'm going to go through you first. McIntyre goes to cheap shot him. Punk ducks and kicks him and tries to fight him, but he's got an injured arm. McIntyre headbutts him and stomps on the injured arm until Sami Zayn comes down to make the save.
Very, very powerful words. Very, very powerful words in that opening promo from Punk. He kind of put himself over as a babyface in the best possible way. Just refused to feel too sorry for himself. Words we can all live by, I guess. I thought it was genuinely really impressive verbal performance from him. It's CM Punk. You're going to get this rank hypocrisy in virtually any scenario in which you find him. He's going to say that Darby Allin does the best dive in wrestling and everybody else should retire theirs, and then he's going to injure his other triceps doing the exact same move he said nobody else should do. He said that he will never again put a wrestling promotion or storyline in front of his health, and then he took a obviously incredibly worked and safe blow to the injured arm. It's a downer. It is a downer because that verbal performance was his second consecutive, just brilliant one on Raw. Main event plans for WrestleMania are utterly thwarted. Drew McIntyre, as brilliant as his line was, and as brilliant as he has been as a character, you look at every permutation of Raw main event, and I will elaborate on this later, and you think, oh, it's so much lesser than now that Punk's out the mix.
Yeah, proper pro wrestling from the Punker. Like, I wouldn't expect anything less when someone like him gets an injury and the ways in which you're potentially going to deal with it. Not that I would have necessarily predicted everything he said and the way this played out, but I absolutely would have predicted that he would have wanted this to go like this. He gets to do what he loves, which I think is play with people's emotions for the benefit of the show, for the benefit of a money program down the line, if indeed there is one to be had. And I assume there is. Like, we don't know about Drew's contract status and I don't know. I've never been tentative about CM Punk's like demeanor in this WWE deal, but you'd be stupid not to think, how's this going to go while he's off injured? Because we also know there's history there, you know. So, but all being well, there's a program there if they're both there to come back to it. So the angle was terrific. Drew McIntyre was on fantastic form again. He is. He's been great in this character, full stop, but he's particularly great when he's got great material to work off. That's why the Sami Zayn stuff and the CM Punk stuff has been the most effective, because those are maybe two of the most effective people to feed him that material. He just looks and feels motivated by it. CM Punk is a fascinating figure. To Sidge's point, like, he will be missed if for nothing else, because every time he was face to face with like a wrestler on this brand, you were immediately like interested in both. That's like the rub. And not that the people he's worked with need the rub, but that's what the rub is, isn't it? You're supposed to then think more of that person. It was happening every time with Punk. So, and it happened with Sami Zayn. Like, you couldn't take your eyes off. Sami Zayn's helping him up. I want to look at that. Yeah. That's, we know stuff. Like, let's look at that. There's sideways things there with Owens and the rest of it. So that was cool to watch. Sad, but I'm going to try and be optimistic that, like, this will just be a rehab. This will just be what a normal wrestler would go through, and not CM Punk 2022 rehab. I say that. I think you have to consider that as well. Will this rehab over a period of time change minds? Will it change hearts? Will it change what has appeared to be a fairly stable backstage relationship? And, you know, like, this was just good pro wrestling. What happens when wrestlers get injured? I like that we've moved past the era of the heel basically kind of like picking at the babyface wrestler for being injured as being soft. That's gone now. It's like Drew McIntyre at no point said you should be working through it, you should be taping it up. Like, that unhealthy sort of attitude is disappearing. You can still tell stories without that, so I enjoyed that as well. This was good stuff.
It was really good stuff. The next time CM Punk comes back, will it be tinged with that anxiety of it's always going to happen, like maybe within months, if not weeks?
He doesn't need some fat mark on a podcast like me to tell him this, but he's smart enough to make that count. He should know. He should be wise to what people think, and hopefully, as a fan of his, push it back in their face. But he should know that should factor into his matches. Like, you know, the Bryan sell of the head, WrestleMania. Like, the real geniuses know how to, like, maximize this. I know the seizure stuff got a bit much, but when he first did it, oh god,
yeah,
like,
it was terrifying.
Playing with your anxieties is like how these, like, smart wrestlers absolutely maximize these setbacks.
We go backstage, and there's Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Dominic Mysterio. And, of course, collectively,
they're in the f***ing Judgment Day.
On the other side.
Ripley tells them to all to send a message for tonight. Send a message they couldn't send at the Rumble. Asks if Priest and Balor are ready, and Priest's completely on board now. He's very focused. Balor says they're going to show everyone how vicious they are. And then DIY cut another one of those walking promos from the back to Gorilla. Gargano says DIY was born 2 hours away from Tampa, and Ciampa said they were going to achieve their dreams tonight. Before we get to the match, your thoughts on both of these?
I just want to say a quick thing. Whenever they cut to the Judgment Day after CM Punk does a promo at the start of the show, it always throws into pretty sharp relief just how performed the Judgment Day is as a stable with their patter. In and of itself, I know they have their fans.
That's right.
Mr. Hamflet is one of them. But my God, I don't think it's a good look at all. It looks very much like we are playing a role on this fictional television show, and we are talking as if we are reading from scripts. I just think it's nowhere near as major league as the Punk stuff. That was always going to be a small problem. You don't have it for the next, 6 months at least? But it was a problem last night anyway.
Especially when, like, I love the Judgment Day, but that clubhouse is so silly. And when they're having this very serious Judgment Day catch-up post-Rumble, and they're basically, the blocking of it is similar to one of those NXT locker room chats where they're basically all little lines staring right down the lens. I think, don't you agree? Yes, I think so too. Like, it is as fake feeling and as WWE producer gets there.
Wasn't the best backstage segment of the night. We'll get to that in due course.
Well, indeed. The ghost of Kevin Dunn will haunt this corridor for many a year to come.
And then we got the match. DIY challenging the Judgment Day for the tag team titles. I really enjoyed this match. I was a bit on quite a few near falls in this. Broke down early on. DIY, stereo dives to the floor, and the pats on the back. Normally, I'm hovering to be like, okay, here we go, commercial break. Obviously, commercial-free first hour. So they get back in.
Benefited enormously from that.
Yeah.
They butcher these matches on Raw with these adverts. Like,
They've isolated Ciampa. Ciampa tries to get over to Gargano. Well, he does, but the referee's distracted by Priest trying to get in the ring, so he doesn't see the tag, so it's called off. Finally, though, Ciampa gets a DDT, brings in Gargano. He cleans house, but eventually Priest nails him with a huge clothesline, throws him outside. They go for the South of Heaven. That gets broken up. Ciampa manages to hit a super white noise for a 2 count. They even hit Balor as well with a meet in the middle following that, but Priest grabs Balor's leg and just sort of shoves it under the bottom ropes for a rope break. Balor comes back, hits Gargano with a slingshot and a drop kick, but Gargano manages to get out of the way of the coup de grace and puts him in the Gargano escape. Ciampa puts Priest in one as well, but Priest powers up and drops him onto the other 2 to break up that submission. Everyone just hits moves on each other. Priest drops Ciampa with a thrust kick, drops Gargano onto the announce table with a flatliner. Ciampa in amongst all this, though, because Priest slides back in, catches him in a small package for a 2 count. But Gargano's out of the picture now. Priest hits Ciampa with a razor's edge. Balor, coup de grace, 1, 2, 3. We'll get to the truth stuff in a second.
I thought there was a lot to love about this, and I know that you shouldn't be surprised if you know who DIY are as wrestlers. And I think, I know people got really exhausted with the Judgment Day versus insert babyface on Raw last year, but I think as defending tag team champions or in the big title matches, I honestly think Priest and Balor are a little bit underrated. I thought that I was mega high on the title change with Cody and Jey from, it was either Fastlane or Payback, one of the not very well regarded B shows of last year. I thought that match was underrated by people, one of my favorites, and they just they are good and credible now because they've been around that long and they're believable. They're really good at raising the stakes. My criticism of DIY was that ultimately their work is very much for work's sake. It's not generating great reactions. You're not marveling at their wizardry or the double teams or anything like that. I don't know, the Rockers, for example, these amazing double teams. That doesn't work half as well if all their flashy acrobatics don't go down well with the crowd. They're supposed to entertain and dazzle. It's not just to confound their opponents. It's to the fans love us because we do this. That side of it was missing, that component with DIY.
It felt really soulless.
Yeah, it was completely missing. And then against Dominic and JD McDonough, it was proper end of the pier Butlins wrestling, but that worked for them because they were just earnest baby faces. And here, people were rooting for the stuff to work so they would win the belts. Can we beat these champions who are credible and have had these titles for a long time, and it's WrestleMania season and are they going to go to WrestleMania with the titles? So it was an unexpectedly enjoyable bit of matchmaking, I would say. I don't think DIY are... And it's not a problem, but there are tiers, and now DIY will go down them a little bit, and it might be Tag Showcase, Andre Battle Royal. WrestleMania just isn't going to be theirs this year. But I think gradually, kind of eroding audience defenses with DIY, and more matchmaking will get them there. I'm as optimistic about this act as I have been since they've been put back together.
Without being really state of the art or anything completely thrilling, I did think it was a really effective match that I got drawn into. I'm like Wilborn, I got into the near falls as well, to a shocking level for a Raw match that I kind of knew what the result was going to be going into it. This is as good as it could have possibly been, but I don't think it's going to trouble any tag team match of the year charts or anything quite like that. Can I say one thing, actually?
Yeah.
I was positive there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be negative now. The contrast between Damian Priest in the context of a tag versus him in the Rumble and him against, was it Drew last week?
Yeah.
It's he's found his ceiling, hasn't he?
Possibly.
No, I think definitely.
I think he'll cash in.
Me, so.
I think he wins that belt. So we see it anyway. I think he wins the title. I think he cashes in and wins the title. I think they try it, but it's supposed to be the other way around, isn't it? He's supposed to feel ready to win the title.
Aye.
It's Triple H says it more than anybody about title making the man and all that. So, not sure.
So afterwards, Dom and JD run out to celebrate, and Priest says, "We've seen a different side to this team in recent weeks, and it's time to thank someone for making it happen." He calls out R-Truth. R-Truth is a bit hesitant considering what's happened recently, but he's in there and he says, "Yeah, the reason why people don't react to your catchphrase is because you're not nice enough." And he asks them to please all rise for the Judgment Day, and people do. And Priest is like, let's deal with the elephant in the room, I suppose. Not you, Nelly.
Dickhead.
Tree says, let's talk about it later. I've not been able to sleep, so I've relocated all your cash into crypto. I've filed your taxes and I've liquidated all your assets. And Priest's like, you've no idea what any of that means. Tree says, hey, come on, guys, we're like a family. Priest, you're like my older brother. And he's like, older? Balor's like...
Doesn't work when Priest himself is like 40.
Yeah. Balor is a creepy uncle. What more is there to say about Tom and Nick? And he just gets booed and he goes, all right, fair enough, my bad. And JD is like the stepbrother that we don't want to admit is in the family.
That's fair.
Priest says, you're right, we are a family, but you're not part of it. Hang on. You never were. I like you, though. You're very funny, which is why I'm not going to be the one to do this. And JD McDonough cheap shots him from behind with a big elbow, and they beat him up. The Miz tries to make the save, but the numbers game, of course, catches up to him. And they beat them both down. They drag Miz to the center. Dom hits a big frog splash off the top. And JD drags Truth into there as well. And they stand tall over Awesome Truth.
Give me the green light, because I'm ready to go. Oh. But hopefully not to Elimination Chamber, because I'm slightly worried that by doing the heat angle now, and them suddenly in desperate need of something of interest for this card, having lost wrestler after wrestler after wrestler, that this won't be the WrestleMania match I believe it to be. Still. That hot tag got me all the way back in, brother. Like, that was... The tag belts, you point about Damian Priest's level, I think the exact same about R-Truth. I think WrestleMania should... WrestleMania's going to have a bunch of matches that are going to be super serious. It looks as if all the top titles...
I'm all for fun, just not R-Truth's fun. not the Awesome Truth. I was there.
Oh, I was there too. I was there, and I'm glad to say that this there is different to that over there. Like, much different. Like, these two winning the belts as a bit of undercard nonsense, I think will be just great. Like, I think it'll be really, really nice.
It's the Miz.
And night... Yeah, bless
These are the philosophical differences we will always have.
Yeah. Mainly centered around the Miz. Like, I think night one, it's just got, like, real nice night one warmth written all over it, unless they need to rush it to Elimination Chamber. And if they do, Awesome Truth aren't winning.
There's just no emotional weight to any of this.
You didn't like the heavy heat segment. Didn't even get the comeback. Yeah, it's like fans crying out there.
It's crap. It's crap.
What do you think of it?
He obviously loves it.
Yeah, I'm not into arguing.
The guilt there.
Miz has got a hot wife, so win. That's what the internet tells me, at least. They announced Sami and Drew for later on tonight. Then it was Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark versus Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. Doing it again.
Yeah. So you're doing it too.
It was very brief, this.
The human soundboard is going to do it.
Yeah. Basically, Green came in after Piper had kind of taken a bit of offense and was just trying to get out of the way of a lot of stuff. I think she got a near fall in it and then went to tag Piper and turned around and got hit with a Z360 from Zoe Stark. Not a lot to say about this.
Well, yeah. Skip. We're not doing a 5-star review.
Yeah, we're not doing the 5-star review this week for obvious reasons. It feels inappropriate considering the news of last week. So, yeah, it was just a very brief 2-minute match it feels like on paper, Zoe and Shayna are next contenders after, well, we'll get to it later.
Possibly care less.
Piss poor booking. Awful booking of this women's division outside of the top programs. Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green, I really hope gets a WrestleMania spot. Like, really do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what, because, like, her and Piper Niven have been the champions.
4-way women's tag.
Sort of done that.
For 10 minutes and the second match on one of the nights.
This is it. I don't want to have a spot within her own division. Like, I'm feeling like Pretty Deadly might be the guest host. But
One second. Oh
my God.
But I want Chelsea Green to complain to Adam Pearce about Pretty Deadly because they're from SmackDown getting the spot, and then her campaigning to get her own little guest host job as well, because I don't really want her to have a match in the tag division because it's cold.
What is going on up here?
I never know, man.
Sponsorship opportunity. Pretty Green. So
that's...
Yes! Got me butter, baby. I'm on a roll.
Does it still exist?
I don't know.
I don't think it does.
Nicholas, sponsor the podcaster.
Oh, it definitely still exists.
Do they have it in the States? Or is it just a British?
Well, they do now.
Is that like Liam Gallagher's Well End brand? Yeah.
Bell End. Like.
That's a got backwards ends.
Yeah, no.
Pun there.
You already got your first.
Right, Cody Rhodes is here.
More like Paul Weller. Hamlet.
He's a Birkin. Yeah, he's all right. No, Burke. It's Berkshire Hunt. Yeah.
Cody Rhodes comes out, huge "you deserve it" chants, and Cody says, "Tampa Bay, what do you guys want?"
Because I think Will Bourne's just nailed it.
Tampa Bay, what do you guys want to talk
Getting to the
about?
other side was probably what the chicken was interested in. If we're talking about road crossing.
He said he had something in mind to say, but Samantha Irvin did his introduction. Can you do it again, please? He wanted to hear it a second time. The winner of the 2023 and 2024 Men's Royal Rumble match, Cody Rhodes. He loved hearing that again. He said the last 48 hours of his life, there's been several challenges. Everything's good, all's well, but on Saturday, you'll never know how much I needed you. He's endlessly grateful for that. But let's get to it. Let's make WrestleMania 40 a fit. Seth Rollins is here. His music's just played.
That's his music. We just played it.
He tells Cody that Tampa's right. He does deserve it. From man to man, congratulations. He's going to be serious with Cody now, though. If he chooses, throws the glasses off. If he chooses Roman, he's making a mistake.
Clothes off as well, then.
I'm stood here completely nude.
If you choose Roman, you're making a mistake. You should fight me instead. Just hear me out. I saw you at the press conference. You said you were the guy. I'm not trying to be the jerk, but you're not the guy. Roman's not the guy anymore. I am. I'm the guy, and this title is the title. Look, last year, Cody wins the Rumble. Makes all the sense in the world to go after Reigns. There's only one champion, of course, but the landscape has changed. He gets it. Every day, all Cody's thought about is Roman, but he's been with Seth on this ride. Since he's won, Cody's been on the road with them, making town after town, city after city, all these shows. But who's there in the main event? It sure as hell isn't Roman Reigns. What title am I defending in those main events? It's not the WWE Championship. It's the World Heavyweight title. Does Cody remember why this title came to be? I mean, I do. Triple H simultaneously saying, Roman's the best, isn't he? But he's never here, so we have to invent a new title. It was because everyone was sick and tired of Roman, tired of them showing up every other week, then month, then 6 months, no defenses, cheating to win. This title is their title. It's for them, by them. They've built this title up through broken bones and backs and blown out knees. Cody included with everyone, has leveled the playing field with this title. Reigns is not a god. He's not on some untouchable pedestal. We don't need him. So he's got to ask, what title do you want, Cody? Do you want the Hollywood title, the Hogan title, the one for posers and frauds and the politics? Or the Dusty Rhodes title, the Workhorse Championship, the Blue Collar Championship?
He was wearing a collar that was blue.
He found a wacky suit way to make his point.
What was it Malachi said the other day?
Symbolism.
Symbolism.
That's what this title means. Who's the best between these
Metaphors and
ropes?
shimmeries, Dax.
Gash.
Which title would Dusty rather have? The truth is, it doesn't matter. It's not about him. It's about Cody. He wants Cody to think about it. He wants to know what's in his heart. And Cody says, "Look, I've got an insane amount of respect for you, Seth. And the last thing I woke up thinking, we were going to be talking about. But I'll think about it."
This was amazing. I can't believe how into this I was. I don't care that wrestlers lie. I just want them to sell me on them thinking it's the truth. So we know, and we were pretty harsh on the toy belt for months and months and months, and then you kind of have to begrudgingly be like, they've done it again. Like, they've had 2 world titles before, and they have a good record at getting belts over as being on equal footing. Just depends on the story that they're telling. And
Batista in 2005, that belt meant more. And Triple H had it.
Yep, like they've done
Triple H.
They've done this in the past, and Seth's been on his way to doing it again. And I think this was the sort of almost like the celebration of it. Like so episodic television has to both delay gratification and gratify when it's every single week. And like Sid just pointed out before, there are numerous problems with having to do the constant like churn of it all.
It's a total flawed model.
We know that there are obviously now plans.
Need an off-season.
We do. We need an off-season.
We know that like plans are all up in the air because of various injuries. What we think we know about The Rock is that if he says, I want in, then he gets in, and who knows how that plays out and all of that. So whilst I'm not, it's basically a 99-1. Like, I'm 99% certain Cody's going to finish the story, but I welcome them playing with that 1% of doubt because of all these extraneous factors. And what a performance of Seth Rollins here to make me buy it. Honestly, I can't give him enough flowers for this because this is a man who, when he wrestles, rarely convinces me of the struggle he's in. When he cuts promos, I much prefer him doing lightweight, nonsense in his wacky outfits and his cackling. He found himself in this character.
Yeah.
And then pivoting back to being serious was right, we're heading back to 2019, best pro wrestler on the planet, period. That's effectively what this promo was, and I bought it.
Yeah.
Just such a strong vocal performance from Seth. Good acting is reacting, and Cody was fantastic at that as well, because if you're Cody Rhodes, how do you portray that after a year, 2 years, the night after WrestleMania, the second year, after coming back and then saying straight away, I want to win the belt, the Dusty didn't. See you next year at WrestleMania. I didn't win it. See you next year at WrestleMania. After all of that, how do you convey? He's got me questioning.
Yeah.
A fantastic display from him as well. I loved this. Again, I've only got the 1% of doubt, but I couldn't love more this as the delaying tactic while a few things get figured out.
If you told me this time yesterday they were going to do this segment on Raw, I would have laughed in your face and said there's no way this could have possibly been halfway convincing. And yeah, it was quite convincing. It was a really good night for Seth, probably the best promo he's ever cut, if I'm being perfectly honest, because it's only...
That and Punk, he's having a good year, I guess, so far.
I thought the Punk stuff was completely outclassed by Cody and Drew's subsequent performances with him, but that's fine, that's fine. He cut a really strong promo here. You can tell, the best promos and the best, total cliched maxim stuff, but the best wrestling stuff is when the wrestlers themselves believe it and they can credibly perform it, and Seth Rollins desperately wants to think that this belt means something, and he made it mean something. Better than these 3.5-star 25-minute title defenses have, for me. This is the first time it really felt like something that someone really wanted to go after and defend with pride, and it felt like a championship for probably the first time in my admittedly cynical, skewed lens. Here's something, though. You said you got 1% of doubt. Was there the possibility, if this has existed purely to just tease it, delay the inevitable, put over both titles in the same week, just have a little bit of, genuinely, earnestly, good booking in terms of, teasing a match that isn't going to happen, but making you want to think you might want to see it.
Yeah.
Putting over the prestige of a title that can't, by definition, really have that much prestige attached to it.
Quite effective promotion, isn't it?
Yes, very good promotion all around. Gives them a week to do whatever, if nothing else. 1% of doubt. Did you not think that they were maybe, amid constant indications from Dave Meltzer, The Rock himself on WWE Raw, that he wants a match at WrestleMania? We could probably get the Saudis to pay you 50. No, I'm a Hollywood star. I'm a board member. He earns more than Saudi money.
Yeah.
Par for the course. He wants a Mania, and he kind of still wants it, apparently. Was this testing the waters for how much are they going to reject this before we can kind of make them want to see it? That's a question. Here's another question. What, if not Cody versus Seth at this point, and I don't need to see it again, as strong as this promo was, I do not need to see it again. What is the World Heavyweight title match at Mania if it ain't Punk versus Rollins and it's not Gunther? They've done it all on Raw in recent months. You can always build another match. The amount of times The Rock and Triple H wrestled in 1997 and 1998 on TV and 1999 on TV. There's an art to promotion, so that's not to say they couldn't create a great storyline between Seth and Drew again. I don't think it's likely, though. What is that match?
It's Seth and Sami Zayn for me, is the answer to your question.
He's just got bitched out.
We get unbitched out in a week. It's Sami Zayn. That man...
They've done it on Raw again.
That man talked up his world...
all I'm saying is they've done every permutation.
Yeah, it's a rematch. like Gunther obviously is there and very available to them. It doesn't harm the Intercontinental title to do they could even promote it as title for title. And Seth has proven that he can sell this title, so he can certainly sell wanting to win the Intercontinental as well. That's just because Sami Zayn is.
And the idea of both of them saying, "Well, my title's the most prestigious sort of thing."
Yeah, like that. I'm saying Sami
regurgitated for 2 months.
Saying Sami Zayn because he's like an available babyface right now. Drew McIntyre again feels very done. I think like those characters, and there's probably a couple more I'm thinking of, but there's like those two in particular are characters that are in such a strong position and they've got such strong footing with who they are that they can retell the story. I'm not pitching it as like a WrestleMania main event, much to Seth Rollins' chagrin, probably, that he feels like he's just lost the Punk match and he's not going to get the Cody one. So he's probably not going to be best pleased, but not everything can main event, nor can it feel like a main event. It can feel credible. And I would say, yeah, Sami and Drew stick out as the characters strong enough with enough depth to sell you that match with a chamber to win, to earn their way back into contention, because that's it, really. Like, it's a second Rumble, isn't it? Like, it doesn't matter what's happened before. It's like you win the chamber.
Bad night for Sami.
It wasn't a great night, obviously, to lose.
The character.
The character. But again, like, he's him and Owens, like, there used to be a system they had to game, and it's not that kind of hurdle to overcome anymore. I don't know. I think Raw's in pretty good health for Seth, but I take your point.
Yeah, I don't think any of it feels Mania-sized. That's not a night one. I
think it's gone Cody, like a bit like last week with Cody and Punk. If they're trying to show you, as you say, like kind of like testing the water things, if Dwayne calls, like Dwayne's the one I call. Like if Dwayne rings, then and Seth's got to fight somebody, like they're showing you, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? And some are going to go down better than others. But WrestleMania's like a big card, and Seth's probably just going to lose his main event without another main eventer across. Punk was the Seth Rollins headliner. Now that, I would say that's what's been lost.
Seth needs Punk.
Yeah.
Seth needs Punk.
That's what's been lost.
Or Cody.
Aye. Like all of a sudden, like yesterday, right, I was guilty of this because I was like, I love Punk. I'm going to miss him at WrestleMania, but straight away I was like, Bayley's won the Rumble. She slots in. A load of people like Becky and Rhea. Rhea's a massive star. Nobody's going Seth. You know?
One more point, because I do actually have a criticism, of course, about the promo. I don't think you needed the additional weird bit about, it's the one that's the Hollywood title. It's the one the politic to get. You didn't need to say that. You could have just said the Dusty title, the workhorse, the blue collar. I don't know. You didn't need the extra bit. Extraneous.
So we talked a little bit about it on the news. If they stick with Cody and Roman for night 2 main event, obviously, what would you put as night 1 main event?
Don't know. I said from the start, the problem with CM Punk is that he's the epicenter of everything, and he overshadows everything. The force of his personality is unlike anything we've witnessed in pro wrestling 99% of the time. Nothing that feels that big to me. Maybe I'm skewed. Becky versus Rhea would be the one I would go for, because that felt big whenever they've interacted. Yeah. Becky's done some great, best career work since returning, despite not being as over, if that makes any sense. Rhea deserves it, realistically, for how over she's gotten, how she's the star of the Judgment Day, which pretty much carried Raw throughout its boom last year. So that would be the one for me. That would be the one for me. Seth versus anybody else other than Punk, with the exception of Cody, even though they've done it 3 times.
Which again, then it becomes less about the pressure of satisfying the main event spot, so much as telling a story that satisfies a world title match on the WrestleMania card. And I think that's a different chat. I think that's where a Sami or Drew, not to like inadvertently neg them there, but I think that's where that you fit in and say, you're not going on last. But this can be hot, but you're not going on last.
It's nothing to do with Drew and Sami, who Sami's always fantastic. Drew's done the best work of his career, outside of the ring anyway. Only Lorcan was the best work of his career. And I say that with no irony whatsoever. It's the fact that it's Raw being 3 hours, still, even during a boom, begets more problems, especially when you like sort of have an issue that you need to resolve quite immediately. You realise that the solution you've already done it by virtue of Raw being 3 hours.
I agree that it probably should be, unless you're doing Seth Gunther, it probably should be a women's title match, whether Bayley and Io or Becky and Rhea. Is there any way they do Gunther for whoever for the IC title in the main event?
it makes its point, but I
You're
think
finally going to dethrone him there.
I think it makes its point in the wrong way.
Chad Gable just isn't headlining a WrestleMania. It's just not happening. I'd love to see it, but it ain't happening.
I think it's one of them things where, I bought Seth here, and it's not a disservice at all to the Intercontinental title if you put that on last. You're saying, look, like we're practicing what we preach here. The Intercontinental title is, I saw yesterday the sort of thing. Maybe Gunther in a multi-man, because then you get to see all these pairings. What's this all been about? If you're putting Gunther in a multi-man ladder match, we're back to 2015 or whatever. Don't do that. But I do think for Seth's promo to carry weight, and for Seth, for how much he cares, if that's not going on last, it best be a world title. And you've got like the Bayley thing. Like, I get why this is just like my personal biases, but think about how when like there was no long-term planning, and how sometimes like a WrestleMania babyface would get hot with a month to go. Kofi Kingston springs to mind, but there were others in that era. Pending how well this Bayley babyface turn goes, and if they can just heat up at the right time, she's not turned yet. Like if they get the timing of it all right between now and sort of Elimination Chamber and Mania, the feeling might just be there. Like sometimes you get the fortune in wrestling, striking while the iron's hot. Like if you when was it? Just before World's End, I'd have been like, Strapsworth Strickland belting now. This guy has never felt hotter, and then they just cool a little bit. Like Bayley's not reached the peak of her heat yet, so it might feel, right now it's a Becky Rhea thing, it might feel like it's Bayley's spot, but I just think if it's not Seth's world title, it's probably got to be another world title. Because then, like Gunther, it's great, Gunther being the Intercontinental Champion, and this belt is everything, but you should still, Gunther should always be thinking, I'm going to move up at some point. Like, what's he entering the Rumble for if the IC title's bigger than the world title?
Yeah.
It's great that the IC title's as high as it is, but the world title should still be a little bit higher.
Well, speaking of Kofi Kingston, he cut a promo with Xavier Woods saying New Day win championships. That's what they do, and that's what they're going to do tonight. He's going to take it off Gunther. And then we get a video of Braun Breaker's amazing performance in the Royal Rumble. And then we got Jey Uso versus Big Bronson Reed, who dominated Jey in the early stages, ran him over, big clothesline. Jey managed to knock him outside and hit a suicide dive. After a break, Jey is trying to fight back, flying crossbody, but he can barely get a 2 count off the back of that. Reed blocks an enziguri, hits a senton for 2. No sells a super kick, so Jey has to hit a couple more to get a 2 count. Reed avoids an Uso splash, hits a Death Valley driver for 2. But then Bronson Reed goes up top for a tsunami. Jey gets out of the way. Super kick, spear, Uso splash. 1, 2, 3 for main event Jey Uso. The thing with the crowd looked awesome.
Yeah, not bad, just not great. I don't know if it's because of how they appear to have cooled Jey Uso. And I know the Gunther match is coming, so yeah, that's fine. Like, that's going to be big. That's going to feel big. Raw main event or something. But I don't know if it's that character. I don't know if it's... I still don't really know the exact value of Bronson Reed. I feel like quite critical of him, and I don't want to come on a podcast and just bury him every week. He's not a bad wrestler, but I can't work out what his like most valuable asset is.
He's not intimidating.
He doesn't wrestle particularly like a big man, but then he doesn't always look like a big man. He's not got the intimidation factor. He's not like, if you know, when they've done like meat men matches with the likes of Ivar, or you've got like Powerhouse Hobbs versus Miro, and they're like that vibe doesn't sort of radiate off him, and he was eminently beatable here. And like, big guys can fulfill that role. I'm watching myself some Tugboat this week, and there's a big guy that could get convincingly beat, you know. But it's what it means is that you don't pose much of a threat, and I think that's a Bronson Reed problem, that they're just not. They're using him and they're featuring him, but they're not really fixing that, and I think that affects the heat in the middle of these matches. Jey Uso gets that great reaction by the end. People are up for his finishes. He's got that going for him still. People still want to watch him win, but. Just fine. Just obvious winner, obviously, is a TV wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, there was no more to add to that. Bronson Reed, you know when Vader's like doing those, he wrestles like a bear.
Yeah.
And he's got those punches, he's like boxing their ears and stuff like that.
Head and
Aye. And it's like, what if the Red Mist descends? Like, he would kill you.
Yeah.
And he's already doing quite a great job of making it look like he's killing you before he loses his like temper. I get none of that off Bronson Reed. He's just an athletic big man with none of the attendant aura, menace, meanness, that sort of, that danger that he radiates. It just doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. And because it's the kind of thing you never can never learn. It won't ever be there. I've been watching him. When did he debut in NXT?
2019 maybe.
I feel like I've just said these same things about every single match of his we've reviewed. And he can be fun. I would put him in a tag team personally. I would put him in a tag team because this big singles player, I just never get it from him.
Sid, is he a rule-proven exception as far as athletic big men go?
Well, sadly, you can't always make fun of him. We're an athletic big man. My bro once told me that.
We go to Postman Pierce's office. There's Andrade signing a contract for Monday Night Raw. In comes the SmackDown general manager. I can't remember what his name is. Congratulates Andrade. Says it's a shame. They go back and forth. I would quite liked him for SmackDown. Well, I got there first. I offered him more money. Andrade thanks Pierce. Tells the SmackDown GM, again, forgot what his name is, to say hello to Zelina Vega for him. And the SmackDown GM says, nice, isn't it? I lend you Bailey for the night, and then you go and sign a guy under my nose. Just business, right? Anyway, we need to discuss Elimination Chamber a little bit later. But then he gets a phone call. He's got to take it because it's Braun Breaker.
Oh, my God.
Come on, smackers. Go on.
I like this segment with Pierce, Star I'm really interested in watching, and Andrade. Like, it was a nice...
I'm with him.
I like they've done... genuinely, like, a good job of the right measure of the conflict between the GMs. It still feels like, what's better than one Jack Tunney? Two Jack Tunneys. It's very admin-y. Like, I don't like Adam Pearce being like, bloody shut up, women, so I can have a drink in peace. Not great. The rest of it, I sort of believe it. Like, they're just a little bit niggly with each other. I wanted to sign him. And he got there first. Well, it's all right.
I'd reckon them two having a match with each other. I said this as soon as that first terse interaction could really, really be good. Good bit of business.
It's just quite a believable dynamic. They're the right amount of arsey with each other. Like, nobody's going to throw a punch in one of them locker room settings yet. But like, there is this sort of like, fuck with me again, energy about these little interactions that I do quite like. Andrade signed. Naomi's off to SmackDown.
Yeah.
Like, this is fun. Like, people come up from the Rumble, from NXT into the Rumble, a Braun, a Tiffany, and it's supposed to be this. There should be some excitement around these names. Like, who's going to sign the free agent? This should have been so much more exciting. All the time, it's a free agent factory you create in NXT, and they just abused it. This is fun. I like this. I want to care about the directions of these new wrestlers.
I care more about Aldis versus Pierce than anything Andrade is going to do on Raw. I'll prepare to be surprised, but I've never got it with Andrade other than every now and then he can work an absolute banger, but who doesn't at this point?
And you like that photo when he first got released by WWE and he was on the streets with that shirt.
Yeah, but that's kind of
God.
the problem and the solution. Like, how can you not be a star when you look like that and you dress like that? And I don't feel anything for Andrade ever. But that's a me thing. A lot of people do. I think a lot of people, to be objective and fair, people in the C2 were like loving them some Andrade.
I think the thing that people love about him is the thing that I need the least from wrestling, which is great matches.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't mean to be flippant about that. Like, I think he offers that more than he offers anything else, and he doesn't even offer that
much.
all
Yeah,
the time.
no.
Yeah, like but I'm with Sage. I'll sit back and I'll watch and I'll let this play out, and maybe they'll have a story for him. There's all these wrestlers, and he's not one that right now I'm fantasy booking on the WrestleMania card, and yet he's just back from AEW. It's a
It
jump.
speaks volumes that we didn't say his name.
Jumps
with
should be cool.
Yeah.
Jumps should be cool. It's as if he's overexposed in AEW.
That's quite telling, actually. Right? So he's come back from AEW.
I'm very insightful.
He's come back from AEW, and SmackDown GM's like, oh well, I'll just get Bron Breakker from our own training facility these fans have seen over and over again. And you're like, ooh, Bron Breakker on SmackDown, is it? That's what got me interested. Was like, the guy that I watch every Tuesday now might work Fridays instead. Sign me up. Like, he's been in AEW for 2 years. Should I be asked?
Anyway, that's where maybe it's verging on mean.
You know who else is a free agent, of course, right now, technically? Von Wagner.
Oh, mate, he's been a free agent for ages.
Yeah, I know.
Which speaks volumes.
And he has been on SmackDown, technically, hasn't he? He was security one week, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. With Ava.
She hasn't got a surname. She's The Rock's daughter. Yeah.
That makes 3 GMs and 0 attempt to sign Von Wagner. Any of the brands.
I'm having an existential crisis about my approach to critiquing Ava Reigns. Maybe it'll come out later. Maybe you have to stick around for the NXT preview for some takes on that. What do I think of that? I know what I think, but should I say it?
Gunther cuts a promo.
Am I brave enough? That's the question I got to ask myself when I wake up in the morning. I look in that mirror and ask myself, am I the good guy? Am I the good guy?
Gunther cuts a promo saying Kingston's fighting for his legacy. He's in for the fight of his life. But I'll forget you immediately after tonight. Nobody's going to be thinking about you, and I'll continue as the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. I love him.
He rules so much, doesn't he? There's a reason why he's fantasy booked in all these matches.
He's just the best.
He's the best.
We get a video recap of the Women's Royal Rumble and then cut to Jackie Redmond with Becky Lynch. Lynch says she let a lot of people down, including herself, but it wasn't in her nature to stay down. Plan B, train a little harder, think a little smarter, fight a little dirtier. But above all, don't stop until I'm back at the top and take the title into the main event like I deserve.
Chamber.
She's winning the chamber, isn't she? Or she's at least going to the chamber.
Yes.
And then it was time for the IC title match, Gunther versus Kofi Kingston. Got Kofi in a Boston Crab about 20 seconds into the match because they had 2 breaks cut in the middle out of this. They did it twice.
Really hurt.
They did it twice as well. So Gunther dominates for large parts of this match for obvious reasons. Kingston fired back, and then Gunther put him in another Boston Crab because it's not time for another break. When we come back finally, Kingston goes for a dive. Gunther catches him and just slams him like neck first into the ring. Kingston comes back though, sends Gunther into the ring post. Consecutive suicide dives. Gunther gets back in the ring. Kingston hits him with a trouble in paradise, but Gunther rolls out of the ring before Kingston could make the cover. Gunther's draped over the steel steps, so Kingston hits an elbow drop off the barricade and a diving leg drop off the top for 2. Gunther blocks a trouble in paradise, goes for another Boston Crab. Kingston counts into a cradle for a 2 count. Gunther hit a clothesline, but Kingston reversed another one into an SOS for a nice 2 count. And then Gunther just took his head off with a clothesline, drop kick, powerbomb, 1, 2, 3. Post-match, Woods comes down to check on Kingston, and Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci beat the crap out of them whilst Gunther looks on very happy.
Ad breaks were frustrating here because otherwise this was like fun. We sometimes say fun as a replacement for good. This is not that. This was just fun to watch. This was really fun to watch Kofi Kingston. Like, roll back the years a little bit to when he wasn't as experienced as he is now, which is funny because the story he was telling was, like, don't sleep on the New Day, effectively. Like, just because we like to do the stuff with the pancakes and the bootios, it doesn't mean that we don't want to win titles, and I'm going to win one tonight. And I love that about, like...
Popped him.
I said pancake, and they're thinking of Pancake Bay.
Give me them over the Pancake Bay.
Yeah, they say
no, it's not pancakes. It's pancakes. It's pancakes. It's the
both laughed at the same. It's that old
pancakes.
That old lady.
Oh no, not pancakes.
That old lady with the ET face on YouTube. What's her name?
I've never seen this.
Lily Hayes.
Lily
Hayes. Nicholas. Yeah. Oof. Up to you. Sorry.
Oh, I have seen it.
Not Nana.
Yeah.
Match was good. Yeah, that was what I was going to say. The Gunther IC title reign is generally put down as this way. He's fixed the title. He's done what people couldn't do. 20 years. It now goes perfect Brett, Shawn.
Sorry. Keep going.
Razor, Jarrett, Gunther. Long gap.
Yes.
Right? That's what it is now. But it's not just that. He's doing these like TNT Open Challenge Cody matches, but with veterans. With veterans that you're a little bit, not tired of, but just the people that you've seen over and over again do absolute Kofi has done everything there is to do in WWE. Twice over.
Yeah.
Like they said on this show, Kofi wants to become a 5-time IC champion. Jesus Christ. Like, and yet he's putting them over as if they're having their first ever title shot. That was some of the magic of Cody's TNT run, was like, Warhorse is giving it a bash. Like, not all the matches delivered, but he made you feel something for all of them. And Gunther's doing this with these people that you were just like, oh, it's just nice to have him on the show. And he's making box fresh challenges out of every single one of them. I love this run for so many more reasons than just the obvious. What a gift. Magic. Good booking. Great wrestler. Like, probably the wrestler of the year every year he continues to do this, realistically.
Yes.
No?
He's up there.
Yeah.
He's up there.
Absolutely being a
The
conversation.
thing is, it's like, I don't think these matches quite reach the heights set by, for example, Danielson ahead of the Revolution.
Yeah, he's maybe done like 2 or 3 rather than every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Can I say Kofi Kingston's attire is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it so much. What a great look that is.
It is.
An absolutely fantastic look. Wish you'd thought of it like, what was it, 5 years ago now. How was that 5 years ago, by the way?
Yeah.
They just look fantastic. I never get over it. This is really, really good. Didn't really orbit on great, but he's just... I don't think Kofi gets enough credit for... He's evolved for me into that sort of worker in that sort of... like the Dustin Rhodes Christian Cage match we got the other week, where he just extracted meaning from doing very little and just pacing it and just clutching at the
real
back.
stuff. It's the real
It's
stuff.
the right time. He's like a real scraps worker these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Like a very elegant worker, babyface, who knows how to pace things for the maximum reaction. And I don't think he gets anywhere near enough credit for being within that class of wrestler.
I feel like I'm going to dig out somebody here, but obviously they were paired together for so long, weren't they? Like Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler. I don't mean to like dig out Dolph at all. A lot of people like him, and I don't have a problem with him as such. Kofi's like 10 times the wrestler I think Dolph Ziggler is when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler has a load of skills, but Kofi, like for the long runs they've had, Kofi feels like he's developed that a lot more than Dolph.
Yeah.
It makes these matches matter more.
Sami Zayn gets interviewed, saying he couldn't stay on the sidelines after McIntyre targeted not only himself, but CM Punk and others. And McIntyre points the finger at everyone. Well, I'm going to give him a reality check. And then we get a recap video of Jade Cargill's brilliant performance in the Royal Rumble. Then a non-title match between the women's tag team champions Asuka and Kairi Sane and Natalya and Tegan Nox, where you could hear a rat piss on cotton. It was, I couldn't believe there was, what did I say yesterday? 12,000 people in this arena.
It always boxes my head. Like, how is it possible for you to not even hear ambient sound during these matches? It's like, you're meant to hear, like, I don't know, rustle from your popcorn when someone's like chowing down on a dog. You know, you're meant to hear like chewing, rustling, yawning, people like pitter patter of feet.
Yeah.
You can't hear out. That's how little heat these matches
like,
get.
Ooh, that's all I could hear throughout it, basically.
It's the defining feature of this current Natalya run, isn't it? Because we're all the way back to the yay! You could hear like a vocal cord straining because there was no other noise joining her.
My goodness.
It's Tegan Nox.
They got a bit of time as well, this one.
No one cares.
Asuka and Zayn worked over Nox. Natalya came in, hit Asuka with a German suplex and a discus clothesline. Goes to the sharpshooter. Kairi Sane saves Asuka, takes out Nox. Natalya hits a baseball slide on Kairi Sane, but Asuka knocks her down with a kick. And in the end, Asuka sets up Natalya. Kairi Sane comes off the top with an insane elbow for the 1-2-3.
Look, the Kabuki Warriors are really, really fun to watch, right? But it's and Triple H knows this and yet will not be told. You cannot just put belts on 2 women and make some of these matches matter. Nobody buys these titles because they've never been given a reason to. And I think, yet again, they're on just when they go into a credible team. Yeah, it's the old IC problem. It's like, is this the time?
Yes.
And inevitably, it's not. But you'd need like months of this for people to start buying in. Like when I remember it was 2019 when the Kabuki Warriors took these titles to NXT. I think, was it Candice LeRae and Tegan Nox? But it was a pretty strong tag match. And it was just because people in Full Sail took that division very seriously and wanted their wrestlers to win the tag belts. This is not that. Like, nobody is watching main roster Raw and thinking these makeshift pairings are going to win tag titles. It's like, we're going to have to endure this, and they're going to have to come up with actual stories. Otherwise, you're just going to get this forever and ever and ever.
Every week I see Natalya and Tegan Nox inevitably lose. I always think, right, this is the time where Natalya snaps and turns on Tegan Nox and nothing happens. But what did happen next was perversely enjoyable. Jackie Redmond's backstage with former champions Caden Carter and Katana Chance, who really took it hard as part of their Royal Rumble appearances, didn't they?
Like Michael Cole, as the words "she lost the titles last night" left his mouth during his exposition dump, of which there were 60. The camera caught Chance beaming, now happy as a pig. And This company's so artificial and fake.
Well, I might agree with you, actually, because do you want to play the roles of Katana Chance and Caden Carter here? And I'll play the roles of Jackie Redmond. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm here with Katana Chance and Caden Carter. Guys, what did you make of that performance, and what are we going to get from you going forward with these tag titles?
We're going to challenge for the titles next week on Monday Night Raw. Isn't that right?
Yes, next week, and that match will take place next week. Redmond. That's the name, isn't it?
Well, there you go. You got the scoop here first. Caden Carter and Katana Chance are getting a tag team title shot next week. Yeah, they were. Well, you spotted this, so I'm going to give all the credit to you.
It's like we like poking fun at like the sort of the way they shoot these things where somebody walks off shot. No, come back. Like they're right. They're as close as we are now. Like
they're not talking.
There was one time, and I hated myself for it, cursed myself for days, where you were off, and I'm not so hot on the tech, and like I got the levels wrong or something, and like. And Sidge.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
And like, Sidge was like lower in the mix than me because like we were through the laptop mic or something like that. And the laptop was here. So like, I was louder.
Sidge, what did you make of Monday Night Raw?
Well, right.
Actually, no, I completely sucked ass. It's completely sucked actually.
Well, despite that, and it being a laptop mic, you can still hear what he said.
Yes.
Because that's how microphones work. These two. With an inch of distance from Jackie Redmond, had to engage apparently in this very deep and meaningful conversation that it being WWE went on a good 10 minutes longer than it needed to, including Jackie Redmond going, back to you, Cole. While they continue to have a conversation in complete silence, because if they said a single word, you would hear it. Like, if they actually... Still halfway through, they go like halfway through, but... Social distancing.
Anyway.
After the match, we'll go to the EDM rave and we'll go,
We're going to go to the club.
Get bottle service in the club.
the club. You'll find me in the club.
Shout out, by the way, to OG Stem Cell.
Oh, yeah. You
messaged us during the Rumble stream. He was out with He was out with Mrs. Stem Cell.
Yeah.
And they were at the club.
They were in the club.
And he found a quiet corner of the club to put our stream on to see where we're up to in the Rumble. And we were like, OG Stem Cell, that's great, Pat, but you're not really at the club, are you? He tweeted us a picture of the club. He was live at the club. Mr. Stem Cell, just wait a second. Because the boys are covering the Rumble. I want to see who's number 16 in a boring-ass match.
So, Asuka and Kairi Sane have stayed in the ring, and they're joined by the rest of Damage Katarl. Bailey there, of course, Royal Rumble winner.
I felt like you were like setting up there in Damage Katarl.
Bailey says you should take a picture of it. It's the first time you've seen the women's tag team champions, the WWE women's champion, and the Rumble winner all in the ring at the same time. And you've got me to thank for that. Everyone didn't believe me when I came up with this plan. Everyone said that I wasn't as good as I used to be, but I didn't listen to anybody's opinion. I wasn't even on the Rumble poster, and yet I'm the 2024 winner. We've got the most stacked women's roster.
Nice catch there. I didn't realise that.
We have the most stacked women's roster ever, and I came out on top. And I beat Rhea Ripley's record by lasting over 63 minutes. Remember that. Ding dong, hello, Cole. She goes to continue to talk about what's going to happen at Mania, but she's cut off by Rhea Ripley now, who comes out with the title. She says, oh, this is all cute. You only broke that record, by the way, because I wasn't in the Rumble. The rest of the group have got gold, but if you challenge me, it'll stay that way for you, no gold. But before she goes any further, she's jumped by Nia Jax from behind. They brawl. Rhea fights back and sends her into the apron, rolls her into the ring. They collide in the center of it. Nia kind of gets the better of it. Hits a leg drop, hits the ropes and hits another leg drop. Damage Control just watch on. Third leg drop from Nia Jax and the Annihilator. Nia turns to Damage Control, who all bail out of the ring except Bailey, who's backed into the corner. And she slides down, terrified of Nia Jax, who tells her, pick EO or anyone else because Rhea isn't making it to WrestleMania. And Bailey goes, yeah, I was going to make my announcement on Friday anyway. So
good this. A nice way to bring Damage Katarl to Raw and not obviously have to deliver what we know is coming, which is going to be the tease of Rhea, followed by the EO stuff. And I'm sounding like I'm brushing that off, but I want to see that story play out. Like, I like this Damage Katarl thing, and I like even like they're just them backing down and Bayley, like the baby face within it is starting to resurface, and little things like her not leaving the ring when they all did is part of that. Separates us from that. Like the beatdown from main event Nia Jax was pretty good.
Honestly, it wasn't bad at all.
Same as in the
bad
Rumble.
at all.
She is like putting her back into this run, and it is like it's bearing fruit. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's just some good snap or like. Or she's maybe like getting fired the first time has made her think, like reflect and think, well, what can I do differently this time around? But and I was taking the piss a bit with like the heavy heat with the awesome truth. This was pretty good heavy heat stuff, considering that Rhea's a heel, but they're going to make her a situational babyface for Elimination Chamber. Like a strong start to this build, I thought.
No, this wasn't bad at all. One of the highlights of the show, actually.
Just before the main event, McIntyre's there at Gorilla with Redmond. He says, all I've done is tell the truth. I've wrestled Sami Zayn many times, but he's won 0 times. That's not going to change tonight. Hit my music, he says, and he walks through the curtain. And we get Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. McIntyre immediately throws Zayn over the announce desk to pretty much start the match. Chucks him back in the ring, warns Pat McAfee not to talk trash about him, and Zayn uses the distraction to hit a suicide dive into a break. Come back, McIntyre's in control. Zayn fights back, sunset sit-out flip powerbomb thing, tornado DDT for 2. McIntyre comes back with a spine buster and a sit-out powerbomb for 2.
Sick of all these goddamn wrestlers doing the sunset flip outs.
Get up, flip out, sunset,
Grab a hole.
McIntyre
Back
goes.
in my day, me and Yoko would see these guys doing them goddamn sit-out flip outs, and we'd kick their ass for not respecting the business.
Not respecting the business, you flip out.
You're supposed to play bones, not break bones. You're going to break bones with a sit-out flip-out. See me doing a sit-out flip-out? No, you see me walking across the rope like a tightrope while the guy holds my hand. Wait a second.
Flip-out, killing them.
Am I a luchador? Don't see the dead man doing dives, except when I started doing dives. Maybe because I respect the business more than the kids these days. I don't know.
And that almost broke my neck. Who am I to say anything?
Ask yourself a question. Am I a walking contradiction? Well, no, because I couldn't walk after that dive. God dang.
Am I a shuffling contradiction?
Superfly's kid goddamn missed me because he didn't respect the business.
Kip out, flip out. So these Canadian destroyers and these kip out, flip out.
I told Kane, no shit out, flip out. You need to slow it down if you want to play the dead man's brother.
And Kane was the man for the job. Fat ass.
Hey, Keish, get down to that top rope. You ain't a head shrinking no more. No more sit out, flip outs if you want to play bones with a dead man.
Did you see the photo that Amplet tweeted yesterday, by the way?
Yeah, it looks like...
I got 16 backer chains. Want to say anything about it? How many hats I'm wearing? I think it might be 4. He sees t-shirt.
Yeah.
BSK bride. Well, someone had to keep the click in place.
Fetty Star. Ain't no hamster going to my ass, so I'll tell you that for free. I'll tell you that for free. God damn it.
I'll tell you that for free, but if you want it on a cameo, you're going to have to pay $300, All Elite Scooby-Doo. Because when it comes to videotaping messages, I respect the business. Dead man better cream it off the top. Ain't that right, Savio?
Because Dead Man Inc. It's a business that respects the business of wrestling.
I remember when Savio main evented No Way Out. Do you remember that huge pop? Savio respected the business enough to give me his payout that night.
And he respected the boys to give them the pop instead.
There was no way out of Texas because the crowd were rallying around Savio that much because he was in BSK. Razor and Diesel took the candy asses to WCW.
Candy ass.
Scared of the BSK. Scared of the motherfucking Godwins.
Motherfucking 90s Gallus.
Pig Gallus.
90s Gallus is a BSK.
It was a BSK, wasn't it? Tell you what I like is that Blackpool Combat Club. Willie, you just kind of an asshole, but I like those other 3 guys.
Legitimately buried Willie Eater on Twitter once.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Doesn't respect the business.
I was CM Punk before I was CM Punk. Before you were CM Punk, I was the American Dream before you were. I was gallus before you were, boy. I was in the BSK. I was born the tits out before you were even born.
I was Joe Coffey before you were Joe Coffey, but I was Joe Whiskey. Ever heard of it? It's called drinking, kid. Get a damn man a crate of beer. Do they got dressed up like a judge for the good of my f***ing health? Get the boys a crate of beer. Give me the number of that McCool chick.
After I make her cry. For not respecting the business.
Yeah. Ask yourself a question. Who made the most money in this business? After Hogan, after Rock, after Austin, after Cena. Ask yourself at the top 20 or 30, 40 guys who made the most money in the business.
Cumulatively, because I never went away. Hollywood wasn't calling for no dead man. That's because I ain't no actor.
The streak was a shoot.
Except I'm too fucking real. Kicked all the
21 years before somebody put a dab on his back.
Nicholas is done in. So Drew McIntyre went to the top. Zayn hit with a superplex. Went for the haluva kick. McIntyre hit with a clothesline. Zayn counters a Claymore kick into a Blue Thunder Bomb for a 2 count. McIntyre hits an overhead suplex and a white noise off the middle rope for a 2. He shoves Zayn. Some people are out of my league, he says. Zayn goes for the haluva kick, but McIntyre sort of cowers down in the corner and blocks it by getting his hands up, but inadvertently, supposedly, low blows Sami Zayn. Just completely seizes the opportunity, hits him with a Claymore kick and gets the 1, 2, 3.
Like, it feels like with these, like the match was fine, whatever. The Drew McIntyre
was just fine, though, wasn't it?
It was just fine. But I do love that they get to work at Raw and they sit together and they come up with the Drew McIntyre finish that's cheating but not cheating.
Yeah.
There's been loads of these. They're really creative and it shows thought, and I like that. It keeps this character ticking along nicely. This low blow count one was a good one. They're all completely rooted in the wrestler's face in there, and then it's nice. But the match was whatever.
Aye. Weird one for Sami Zayn. So he comes back, number 30, doesn't win, obviously. Then he's got written off TV by Drew. Doesn't really get his revenge, his vengeance. Just doesn't seem like he's in the plans.
Aye, I think this is it. A lot is up in the air, isn't it? But again, I think he's just a guy that you can have him lose.
I thought we were in the, was it the 3rd innings? I don't know.
I
don't know baseball.
Yeah.
Half time. Is it half time?
All right, baseball's a fake sport. He's the guy that can lose, win the chamber unexpectedly, and it's Sami Zayn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like they know they can kind of get away with that a bit, I think.
Yeah. Well, let us know your thoughts on Monday Night Raw on X at What Culture WWE. Watch, they can follow all 3 of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
You can follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at What Culture WWE. Follow our brilliant producer at It's Adam Nicholas. And make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. We'll be back later on today to preview NXT. But for now, this has been the Raw Review. My thanks to Hamflett Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.